All right, today we're going to break down something called the Octave Workflow. It's this really powerful 8-step system designed for creators. So if you're feeling like you're constantly juggling a dozen different roles, stick around, because this is how you can finally turn all that chaos into a smooth, successful process.
I mean, if you're a creator, this probably feels painfully familiar, right? You're not just making content. No, you're the strategist, you're the copywriter, you're the video director, the salesperson, the customer support agent, the list just goes on. And honestly, it's completely overwhelming.
But what if you could change all that? Just imagine for a second having a dedicated specialist for every single one of those jobs, an expert who's ready to handle their part of the process so you know nothing is going to fall through the cracks. Well, that's the big idea behind the system we're about to get into.
So, what's the secret? The solution is to stop thinking like a frantic juggler and start thinking more like an engineer. It's a total mindset shift. So welcome to what we're going to call your new AI assembly line.
And this right here, this is the transformation we're talking about. On the left, you've got the old way. You know, that tangled mess of manual work and just pure stress. But on the right, you have the Octave Workflow, a clear, specialized, and systematic path from the very start to the very finish. It's all about replacing chaos with clarity.
The magic number for this whole thing is 8. Think of it like this. You have a team of 8 AI specialists on call, ready to go, all working together in one seamless workflow. Each one has a very specific job, and they are trained to do it perfectly.
Okay, so what is the Octave Workflow really? Well, it's an 8-stack GPT system. But the most important part is how they all connect. Each specialist AI gets triggered by an @mention, and it just takes the work from the previous one and adds its own expertise. It's literally just like tagging your teammates in a Slack channel to hand off a task. So simple, but wow, is it effective.
And here it is, the whole assembly line at a glance. This process takes us from that first little spark of an idea all the way to delivering the final product to a happy client. So let's walk through what each of these specialists does, starting right at the beginning.
All right, let's dive into the first phase of our assembly line, going from a simple idea to an actual lead. This is where it all kicks off, turning that creative spark into content that really grabs someone's attention and makes them curious.
So everything starts with @content GPT. This is your idea factory, your copywriter, your scriptwriter, all in one. You just tell it what you need, hooks, captions, a full script, and the kind of tone you're going for. It builds the entire creative foundation for everything else to come.
Okay, so once you have your text, you tag in @RealDirectorGPT. This specialist's job is to think visually. It takes that great caption or script you just made and translates it into a concrete plan for a video, like a storyboard or a shot list. It literally turns your words into a visual story. Now that you've got this awesome content, it's time to make it work for you. This is where you bring in @LeadCaptureGPT. Its entire job is to create a valuable freebie, like a checklist or a quick guide, that's directly related to your content. This becomes the irresistible offer that actually captures your lead. So, you've captured a lead. Awesome. Now what? See, the goal isn't just to make a sale right away. It's to build trust. This next phase is all about turning that initial interest into a genuine, qualified prospect who's actually ready to listen.
And this is where @LeadNurtureGPT comes into play. It takes that freebie you just created and builds a whole communication plan around it. Whether that's a series of emails or some DM scripts, the point isn't to sell immediately. It's to build a real relationship and warm that lead up.
Next up, you've got @QualifiedGPT, which is basically your personal conversation analyst. You can just feed it a chat transcript and it'll tell you how ready that lead is to buy, point out any objections they might have, and even suggest the best next move. It's all about finding the right people, not trying to force a sale on everyone.
Okay, so we've nurtured our leads, we've qualified them, and now we're at the sharp end of the process, closing and re-engaging. This is where we learn to handle both the yes and the not right now with the exact same level of skill.
When it's finally time to make the offer, you tag in @SalesGPT. This specialist helps you position your offer perfectly, handle any objections with total confidence, and gives you clear, human-sounding scripts to close the deal. The key here is closing with clarity, never with pressure.
But what about the folks who weren't quite ready to buy? Well, that's exactly what @RetargetGPT is for. It helps you create content to gently follow up with people who showed interest but then went quiet. Think of it as your specialist for those soft pokes and curiosity pings that feel personal, not spamming. We have made it through the entire cycle, from the first idea all the way to the close. But the assembly line isn't done just yet. The final, and you could argue the most important step, is actually delivering the product and creating an amazing client experience from day one.
And finally, we have @Delivery GPT. The second someone buys, this specialist takes over the whole onboarding process. It can generate welcome messages, setup guides, and clear next steps. It totally automates the post-purchase experience to make sure your new client has a smooth start, which frees you up from a ton of manual work.
So let's just step back and put it all together. This is the entire system right here at a glance. It all starts with Content GPT sparking ideas, which hands off to Real Director to visualize them, and then it moves all the way through nurturing, qualifying, selling, and finally delivering. Each step is just a seamless handoff to the next specialist in line.
And that pretty much brings us to the end. When you see it all laid out like this, as a complete system, you realize it's not just a collection of tools, it's an entire assembly line for your creative business. So the only real question left is, now that you have it, what are you going to build with it?